Countdown. Hello, welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I Something came to my attention a few days ago, and I meant to talk about it, and I kept on procrastinating. And I think I need to talk about it for the while the news is still relevant. And I want to talk about the late Senator Bob Dole of Kansas. On December 5th, 2021, Senator Bob Dole of Kansas passed away at the age of 98. He was a longtime senator from Kansas, got elected in 1968. I think he retired in 1996 as he was running for president. He was the vice presidential candidate for Gerald Ford in 1996. In 1980 and 1988, he sought the Republican nomination for president and did not get it. In 1996, after a contentious primary with Pat Buchanan, he did get the Republican nomination and lost to Bill Clinton that year. So, and what I want to do is the reason I'm mentioning Bob Dole. I didn't agree with him politically, but I felt like that he's relevant to what needs to be talked about, and because I've been thinking about this in the last few days, and what it means for politics here in the United States. And yeah, everything is political. I don't care how you slice it and dice it. Everything is political. And by the way, that's Bob Dole and his wife, Elizabeth Dole, who ran for the U.S. Senate in North Carolina. And I am going to share an interesting, maybe a mildly amusing story about Bob Dole, about Elizabeth Dole, and running for the Senate regarding Bob Dole. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go and play a video. About Bob Dole. So, okay, give me a moment. And I will share a few words. I will share a few words afterwards. Give me a moment here.
Donald now with a look back on his...
Oh, hold tight. Sorry about that. What in the world?
Good day, I'm Joe Fryer at NBC headquarters in New York with a special report. Breaking news, former Republican Senator and presidential candidate Bob Dole has died at the age of 98. The Elizabeth Dole Foundation announcing a short time ago the former senator died early this morning in his sleep. Senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell now with a look back on his life.
Bob Dole always possessed humility and dry humor.
I want to thank all those who have said such kind words about me. They're probably not true, but they were nice.
Respect earned through his years of public service and capped with the Congressional Gold Medal in 2018. But Dole's storied career brought Congress together in a rare, unanimous vote to pay tribute to this World War II veteran and son of Kansas who achieved so much. Impaired by war, but never deterred, longevity was among his gifts. In his 90s, Dole returned to Kansas to visit every county one last time. From his roots in Russell, Kansas, Dole joined the Army during World War II. gravely injured in Italy, Dole gave credit to the people of Kansas for putting their faith in him.
I was in the 10th Mountain Division. I'll be darling.
Elected to Congress in 1960, then to the Senate in 1968, rising to Republican leader for a dozen years. Father to daughter Robin from his first marriage. In 1975, he married Elizabeth, his partner in life and politics. On the ticket as Gerald Ford's running mate in 76, Dole sought the office of president himself 3 times and faced incumbent Bill Clinton in 1996, describing himself then as a fighter again at age 73.
Tonight I stand before you, tested by adversity, made sensitive by hardship, a fighter by principle, and the most optimistic man in America.
After politics, his service turned to causes close to his heart, leading fundraising for the National World War II Memorial in Washington. His bond with other warriors endured. An emotional Dole managed to stand before the flag-draped casket of fellow World War II veteran President George Herbert Walker Bush. Knowing physical challenges made him a credible champion of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Ambitious, yet also self-effacing, in victory and defeat.
So I leave you all tonight with a full heart and a fervent prayer that we'll meet again.
Bob Dole's commitment to country, tested and lifted by his resilient spirit. Kelly O'Donnell, NBC News, Washington.
Okay.
Thanks for watching our YouTube.
Okay. Well, as I said, that was a video of his life. And as I said, the reason I wanted to play this video and do this commentary is I wanted to talk about what I consider is the death of moderation. And what I mean by that is the American political Overton window. As much as I criticize Ronald Reagan, and I have plenty of criticism when it comes to Ronald Reagan, he destroyed the New Deal consensus, changed the political conversation, and we are still living in the Reagan era. Doesn't matter whether it's a Republican president or Democratic president. One of the reasons I have a problem with the legacy of Bill Clinton is he carried on the torch for Ronald Reagan, combining being safe on being socially liberal on a few safe issues, and then pretty much adopting the Reagan model. Kind of what Tony Blair did by handing Britain a softer version of Thatcherism. And that offends me a great deal with the Overton window. So, but the thing about it is, Bob Dole was considered for many years a conservative, like a strong conservative. I mean, he wasn't reactionary like Jesse Helms. I would say that maybe by today's standard, Donald Trump would be, what did I say, Bob Dole would be considered, pretty middle of the road, probably to the left of Mitch McConnell, probably somewhere in that Mitt Romney, probably even a little more liberal than Mitt Romney. This is how far to the right this country's put itself in the last 40-some years. I would say that Bob Dole's liberal counterpart in the 1970s, 60s, 70s, and 80s would be people like Hubert Humphrey of Minnesota, or Walter Mondale, well, of Minnesota too. Someplace like that. I would say probably someone like Governor Michael Dukakis of Massachusetts. They were kind of like the liberal counterpart of Bob Dole. Bob Dole was, considered to Reagan's right on things like the nuclear arms treaty between the United States and the Soviet Union. He was critical of that. I do remember that when I was watching and observing the first presidential race that I would actually cast my vote in 1988, which was for Michael Dukakis. But anyway, I remember Bob Dole, and I just thought, back then I just thought, ugh, he's kind of a douchebag or what have you. And the Republican Party has traveled so far, so freaking far to the right since those days, and you just kind of wonder how further right can it go. And they're a lot of them are complaining about so-called rhinos. The rhinos today would have been still to the right of people like Bob Dole. See, unfortunately, people like Jesse Helms brought people to today's America with the likes of Ted Cruz, or even worse, Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I mean, this is what's happened with the Overton window, and the thing about it is that I have a personal story I would like to share with you about Bob Dole, and that personal story would be this: that I had dinner once with Senator Dole. In 2002, I was in Wilson, and I decided to have supper at the K&W cafeteria in Wilson. It no longer exists. It closed down, COVID related, last year. But anyhow, Elizabeth Dole, his wife, was running for the U.S. Senate. Jesse Helms was going to retire in January 2003, which Jesse Helms made being from North Carolina pretty embarrassing. Well, Elizabeth Dole was running for the U.S. Senate against Erskine Bowles, who was a corporate Democrat that year in that election. And so Bob Dole was campaigning for his wife, and he was walking in the K&W, and he was greeting people having their pictures taken and shaking hands. Oh, it's Bob Dole, it's Bob Dole, you know. And I saw Bob Dole in there. I was like, interesting, Bob Dole's in here, wow. So Bob Dole kind of walked toward my table, and he asked me if I could spare a few minutes of his time. And I said, yeah, sure. And he was telling me about his wife, Elizabeth running for the U.S. Senate. And I told him that I am planning to vote for Erskine Bowles, although it is a very reluctant vote. And I told him that I don't like Erskine Bowles that much, but I am going to vote for Erskine Bowles in that election. I'm not proud of that, believe it or not. I mean, when I say Erskine Bowles is a corporate Democrat, he's a corporate Democrat that stands for nothing. But this was during the time before the Iraq War began, and I already knew that the Bush presidency was the worst presidency in my lifetime. Still say that to this day. And I wanted to do everything I could to weaken George W. Bush, even if it meant voting for someone like Erskine Bowles, who I have no use for. And it was a sad year because Paul Wellstone, who was one of my favorite U.S. senators, died. He died in a plane crash. But anyway, Senator Dole came up to my table, and as I said, as I told him, I have nothing against you, and I have nothing against your wife, Liddy, but I'm voting for Erskine Bowles. And he looked at me, and he was like, well, are there any concerns that you may have that could persuade you to think differently? And, you know, I think he assumed that I was a Democrat or a generic Democrat. But as soon as I told him some of my concerns on the economy, my perspective on healthcare, my opposition to the war in Iraq, and just the way everything's done in this country, he knew that I was not just he figured, oh my God, he's worse than a Democrat. I think that's what he probably thought. He's like, oh, he must be some deranged radical left wing loon. I mean, it's funny. Anyway, he just kind of, well, you know, we have some disagreement. And I was like, but I told him before he parted ways, we parted company. I want to let you know that I have nothing against you nor your wife. I know you're a moderate Republican. Your wife is a moderate Republican. And I know you're not anything like Jesse Helms. And that's a compliment I could give to anybody. Not being like Jesse Helms is actually a nice thing to say about somebody. And I told him that whoever wins between Erskine Bowles and Elizabeth Dole, the fact that Jesse Helms is leaving the U.S. Senate in January will, anybody who replaces Jesse Helms will be a default improvement. So anyway, that was my amusing little story, about my interactions and dinner with Bob Dole. And as I said, I'm just going to keep it kind of short and sweet this morning because, as I said, just stuff I got to do today. And I just wanted to share that. And as I said, it's sad that it's sad on a human level that he's dead, but it's also sad that what you've seen with his parting ways is the death of moderation, and that's also sad in itself. So anyway, if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, we'll comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As the First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Also, subscribe and hit that notification bell. And until next time, I'm Willie Bragg. Class struggle all the way. Take care. Have a great weekend.